Tell you about my life, you say. That is nonsense. If you truly understood my work, you would understand that you needn't hear my history. What you need to know me is all right here before you, happening between me and you, I and thou. My history would only elaborate on the obvious, on what you see before you now. But I will tell you anyhow. Berlin. I was born in Berlin. It was 1893, right before the time dear Freud was to publish studies on hysteria. We were modern Jews, my family. I was yanked into this world with forceps. They grabbed me by my big, fat head and pulled me in. My father, Nathan, was an asshole. Unkind. A pompous, self-righteous asshole. The word he said to me most? Shit. He always said, Frederick, you are a piece of shit. Shit, shit, shit. My mother and Nathan had little love, if any, between them. To this day, I have the idea that he's not my real father. I think it was Hermann Straub, the famous lawman. Yes, I think he might be my father. I was a rebel, always a rebel. How could I not rebel? Ugh, how I hated the hypocrisy. Hypocrisy everywhere. So I was always in trouble. I wasn't interested in school. No way. I made disturbances. I got kicked out. I preferred the theater. Yes, theater. And the body. I was always fascinated by the body and what it could say. I think that is why I went to medical school. But my training was interrupted by the war. I was made a medic. It was there, in that chaos, that I was made a man of sorts, a numb man. It was in that first war that I lost my best friend I ever had. I also lost the ability to dream, to have fantasies. That was numbness. I went flat for a while, until I met Lucy. Oh, Lucy, Lucy, Lucy. You were the first. You made it real. You cracked me wide open, you and your pussy, and your games. You were a married woman, but no matter. You had me and many others. Lucy, you drove me mad. You drove me to the analyst's couch. That's right, from being the doctor to seeing the doctor. Yes, Karen Horney's couch. It was my first analysis, the first of 3 or 4. After a time, she instructed me to flee from you and your powers. I ran to Frankfurt. From this was born my interest in analysis. I trained as a Freudian. It is hard to explain my mixed feelings about the man's work. For a time, I went along with it, but ultimately, again, I rebelled. But now I jump ahead. Instead, let's talk of Laura. You know her as Laura, my wife. We met in Frankfurt in 26. We fell into a camaraderie. She was a researcher in psychology. In 29, we married. I wasn't madly in love. Hell, we had common interests. She pushed for marriage. I guess I thought maybe I would find salvation as a husband and a father. So, I worked as a Freudian analyst for 6 years, but didn't feel like my side of the street was clean. I sought out another analysis. Horney said I should see Wilhelm Reich. Reich. In him I found the seeds of my future theory. For he understood about the present being more vital than the past. He understood about the body language. But again, interrupted by a war. That fucking fascist war. My mother and sisters slaughtered in that war after we fled. First to Holland, to live on nothing, selling the furniture just to eat. After a time, we were helped by Ernest Jones, that American Freudian. He was helping the refugee analysts. He got us to South Africa. Talk about a shock. From starving in Holland to luxury and thriving practices we went. We were the only game in town for a while and everyone wanted analysis. But it was a sham, a hollow life. I missed the minds of Europe. hated the 50-minute hours with no eye contact and all the trappings of the respectable life. Husbanding, fathering, working. It was only my spite and rebelliousness that kept me from becoming a computing corpse like the other Orthodox analysts I knew. My life with Laura, too, was lifeless. I got the itch to move. Kids and Laura be damned. In '46, I left for New York. Sent for the family over a year later. In New York about that time, I picked up with the writer Goodman. He and others, great, creative minds, were challenging things, experimenting with authenticity. It fit my ideas exactly. We pushed all the limits. We were true bohemians. We experimented with sex, too. We had dozens of lovers, women and men. We pushed every limit. It was then that I solidified my theoretical ideas. I stressed the here and now over the past. I looked my patients in the eye and told them things. Freud's little pets hated me. This was the way Gestalt Therapy was born, through insisting on the here and now and insisting on genuineness. People say I'm too confrontational, too frank, but I am simply insisting on authenticity. But after a time, I hit the road with the dog and pony show of Gestalt. Laura and others stayed and set up an institute. I came and went, and finally I left New York for good in '56. I went to Miami. In Miami, I felt my defeat. I was frustrated that my ideas weren't catching on as planned. Traditional analysts in the big schools rejected Gestalt. There I was, my health failing, 63 years old, depressed, alone most of the time. And then I met Marty. Marty was my patient. She was 32, married. She became the most significant woman in my life. She brought me back to life. I was her therapist 4 times a week. I was also her first great lover. I opened her like a flower. She came to me so depressed and suicidal, and I gave her back her life too. Gave her back her children, she said. But of course it had to change. By 59, I wound up in a hospital. I think it was part broken heart, part LSD. Yes, LSD. I discovered the immediacy of LSD. It complemented my strivings perfectly. It increased the importance of this moment. It increased awareness and sensation. I believed I had found the answer of how to free the mind and have it land fully in the body. So, by 59, I was 66 and taking LSD several times a week. They said I was becoming paranoid. I am sure many these days will find much to criticize in this, and in this too. My family hated me. I had never been a decent father. I couldn't be bothered. I was cruel or ignoring of my children. As they grew, I found they wanted nothing to do with me. With no Marty and no family, I was ready to move again. I went to California. California and Esalen. I lived at Esalen for 5 years in the mid-'60s. It was a place unlike any other. People there were working on getting more from their lives, from their minds and from their bodies. People were finding their freedoms and living their creativity. I offered training groups that became quite popular. I was finally getting my recognition. I built a house on the cliffs above the baths. After a time, I needed a place where I could allow my work to flourish. That brings us here, to 1969, to the Gestalt Institute of Canada, my place, the culmination of my work. But I won't get to enjoy it for long. By March, I will be dead. My heart again, always the pain in my heart. Some said I was a nasty, belligerent egotist. I was, sometimes. I could also be disarmingly tender. I could see through people, and they wished to be seen. Believe me, yes, they did. To understand me, one must embrace paradox. I am a show-off. I did it all for vanity, to hypnotize you into the belief that I am something extra special. I was Fritz. I was a piece of shit. I was a god, a guru. I leave you with one of my poems. In and out of the garbage pail put I, my creation, be it lively, be it stale, sadness or elation. Joy and sorrows I had will be re-inspected, feeling sane and being mad, taken or rejected. Junk and chaos come to a halt, instead of wild confusion. Form a meaningful gestalt at my life's conclusion.